Welcome to Have I Got News for You? My name is David Tennant, and in the news this week, there's evidence that today's news outlets are far too obsessed with clickbait as someone hears that there's a squirrel on a skateboard in St James's Park. At the Department of Work and Pensions, some young civil servants react to being told they have to come into the office on Fridays. And backstage on Russia's top satirical panel show, the guest host begins to lose confidence in the gags for this evening's performance.
Места, позиции в различных сферах. У нас в первое место причислено успешное режим а также реализация проектов безопасности.
Onions' team tonight is an actress and comedian who said people laughed when she told them she was marrying another comedian. Well, we're not laughing now, which is a shame because they star in a comedy together. Please welcome Lucy Beaumont. And on Paul's team tonight, a writer and a broadcaster whose bestseller, The Thursday Murder Club, features a group of eccentric old-timers who get together once a week to air their crackpot theories. An idea he got one Thursday when he came and hosted this show. Please welcome Richard Osman. We begin with the bigger news stories of the week. Ian and Lucy, have a look at this.
Oh, this is childcare. There's some kids looking after Rishi. Very nice of them.
Oh, don't drink that, Corbin. It's got his wee in.
And there's Rishi handing out papers. He's just working out how much his wife's going to make. Quite a complex equation. Should we start with Rishi Sunak and childcare?
Why don't we do that? Yes.
It transpired that the budget in the spring is going to include a measure that means they want to get child care going, so people going back to childcare get paid £600 unless they work for an agency, and they get £1,200. They get double if they go through the agency. And his wife just happens, by coincidence, to have shares in one of those agencies. And he didn't declare this at the time. No. He probably forgot. He's got other things to do. I have no idea what.
This is where he failed.
He failed to declare the interest. Exactly.
Labour's Angela Rayner said he'd created a transparency black hole.
Whoa.
What does that look like?
That was in one of your episodes.
But they've got shares in a lot of things.
Do you think there's no company in Britain that Mrs Sunak doesn't own?
Yeah.
Greg's, I bet.
Well, we'll see in the next budget, won't we? Sausage rolls go up 50 pence.
What else has Rishi been pushing to the nation more recently? What's he very keen for us all to do?
Maths.
Maths. Yes, he wants to reimagine our approach to numeracy.
When I read that, like, his school has, the school he used to go to, has a private art collection, I just thought, like, my school had a private art collection, but it was like a cock and balls behind the bank shed.
Was it a Picasso?
That's a private art collection, isn't it?
I used to teach maths. Can you
Did
believe?
you?
Yeah, I know.
He's announced this twice now. It's his thing. But this time he actually elaborated a little and he said, look, if we were better at maths as a nation, you know, we would be less likely to lose tens of billions of pounds. And you thought, does the name Liz Truss ring a bell? Again, he tried to get people interested. There's a very funny clip of him talking to some students, asking for questions.
Yes, this is Rishi trying to sell the idea at a press conference and asking if anyone has any questions.
Right, who's next? Anyone else? All good? No, it's from you. Anyone else have some questions before we get over to the media? OK, gosh, it's very quiet. Anyway, actually, I'll broaden up. Do you have any questions on things that are not related to maths? I'm also fine for those. All fine? Right, OK, well, we'll turn to the media for some questions.
He does look like a supply teacher. there's an amazing shortage of maths teachers.
3,000 maths teacher vacancies currently, yeah.
Yes. I went to talk in a school and the headmaster said, guess how many applicants we got for our job as maths teacher? And I said, I don't know. And he said, 0. I mean, that's nil. That's nothing. So they're probably... I know, sorry.
You don't need this extra tuition, do you?
You sound qualified for the job.
So he wants everyone to study maths until they're at least 18. Let's see how hard the maths will be. This is a GCSE maths question. Who's got it?
Yeah, that's, yeah, I do know, but you go ahead.
Well, I've got grade 5 CSE maths, which is the equivalent to 25 yards breaststroke.
I think it's easy. They've written it weird, but you can see it's 2 times 104, so that's 208.
204, plus, yeah.
5 times 103. Did you get a point for that?
No.
It's 0.0004.
Oh, look at that.
Here we go.
Ian Hislop gets a point for that. Right?
How many people actually know that he got that right? 2 people, look. One day, maths will be revealed as a gigantic hoax. It takes 15 men 5 days to run a bath. How many apples and a bunch of grapes? I mean, you know. Who cares?
Who's got a maths A level here?
No.
Nothing? No? GCSE?
No.
You taught
You're a
maths?
maths teacher.
This is the state of education in this country. I wasn't happy about it either. I didn't want to be there. I once said, half of you aren't going to get your GCSE. That's nearly 50%.
What does Rishi blame for our poor maths skills?
Pranksters. Once you get past 12, there are no other numbers. I surprised myself with that.
Rishi blames the anti-maths mindset.
Yeah, we just heard it.
He continued, I won't sit back and let this cultural sense that it's OK to be bad at maths put children at a disadvantage.
He has a point. He has a real point.
A decimal point.
But a lot of countries do study it till later on.
And they end up with sort of a population that's better at statistics and isn't so easily fooled by governments.
Who's paying you, Hislop?
Yeah.
He's in the pocket of big calculator.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the gaffe narrowly averted by the Department of Energy? They almost published a paper called Powering Up Britain's Energy Strategy. But on realising that would be abbreviated to pubes... the word strategy became a plan. For any millennials watching, pubes is the stuff you shave away.
I was going to say, that's a strategy the Brazilians don't have.
Now, the report on claims of bullying by Dominic Raab has been handed to Number 10, but they're not going to make a decision on it today. Although we are recording this the day before you see it, so by the time you see it, who knows? Do anyone want to make up what we think is going to happen in the next 24 hours?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to declare the result of the bullying inquiry, but then he said he'd thump me, so...
Well, I mean, you only have to look at him to realise he's completely innocent. You only have to look at him to realise he's completely guilty.
Do we have to cover every possible eventuality here?
Yeah, of course you do. And to go up and make that statement with Paul Chuckle from the Chuckle Brothers. Anyway, may he rest in peace.
In one of the most serious claims, he hurled 3 Pret-a-Manger tomatoes across a table in a fit of rage. These accusations have been going around for a while. Why do you think Rishi Sunak appointed him in the first place?
He appointed a lot of people who subsequently became controversial. I'm thinking of Suella Braverman. Not too often, because it's depressing, but...
More importantly, would you like to know how long people in Westminster, on average, spend on the toilet?
Yes, I would.
Well, luckily, a Channel 4 survey tells us it's 6 minutes. Here's Angela Rippon to tell us more.
Because I can now confirm that there is one part of the country where people spend more time on the loo than anywhere else, and it's right here in the borough of Westminster. And that means that everybody who lives here, including the people who work there in that building, in the House of Commons and the House of Lords, the heart of politics in this country, or should we say, politics, spend on average 6 minutes on the toilet. And that's 2 minutes more than the national average.
Was this actually broadcast? When she says they go to the toilet right here, I thought, well, you shouldn't be standing there.
Yeah, come on, Angela.
Yeah.
I thought she was dead. Who's the one that was in Miss
I mean,
Marple?
if they're not...
Did you say she's the one from Miss Marple?
Angela Lansbury?
Yeah.
No. Angela Lansbury's Murder, She Wrote. Angela
Murder.
Rippon is Turder, She Wrote.
Elsewhere in Westminster, Jeremy Corbyn and Keir Starmer have been telling each other they're not friends anymore.
Oh.
They've fallen out. Starmer said in a recent interview he wasn't friends with Jeremy Corbyn. No, I would not call him a friend.
But he did.
We did.
In 2019, he said he's a colleague, a friend, and he led us through some difficult times.
And Jeremy Corbyn said, this is playground stuff.
He did.
And then he said, and actually, we weren't friends.
That's exactly it. Jeremy Corbyn said, it makes me sad, actually. I don't know why he would say that. Why did he announce to the world that I was a friend and then a short time later that I was not a friend? It's playground stuff. And then added, I never regarded him as a friend. I didn't spend time hanging out with him. Which Scottish politician might be arrested this week?
I presume you're assuming that Nicola Sturgeon might be arrested.
I'm assuming nothing. It's just a speculation.
Yeah, I would think now it's rude not to arrest her.
It's going to make a brilliant episode of 24 Hours in Police Custody.
They often do that on 24 Hours in Police Custody. They just say no comment for 18 hours, don't they? And then they get out. That's what she would be doing.
Yeah.
No comment.
No.
Can you do a Scottish accent?
No. Nicola Sturgeon might be the next Scottish politician to be arrested after it emerged that she blocked scrutiny of the SNP's finances only a few weeks before the arrest of her husband. SNP First Minister Humza Yousaf has said he knows nothing, and everyone believes him.
It's all gone quite sexy, though, hasn't it, now, the SNP? With, like, lies, police uniforms. I'm interested now.
Yes.
In the SNP, because Happy Valley's finished. It's something to get my teeth into.
Further talks are taking place this week in Northern Ireland. The key to progress there is clear communication at all times. For an example of that, would you like to hear a listener who called into a Talk TV discussion recently?
Yeah.
25 years ago, I was near killed on a farm.
You were nearly killed on a farm?
Yes, yes. What
happened? What happened? Was it an animal?
What happened?
An animal?
We 30 mass. We got three massive turtle was smashed in two, and I was cut, and the turtle was cut in two onto the air now, and the monkey come around and saved me.
Who saved you?
Two cattle came at you?
Yeah, they came at you. And they rolled on you.
No, hold on. What happened?
No, listen, got that wrong. No, Darren. No.
What happened with the cattle? How were you killed by cattle?
No,
they fell on you.
I was on a farm and I was down the turtle was smashing two.
What was that you just said? Smashing two?
No, two cattle smashed him in two.
Again, has this been broadcast?
Well, if you look in the corner, it has been broadcast, but it's on Talk TV, so no one has watched it.
But his hair, she's had all the time in makeup, and they've just not had time before they got on air to do it.
Stop, didn't he? Why have they got a Britain's Got Talent buzzing? Now, you haven't forgotten that the local elections take place in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's why we've been so balanced to date.
Exactly. What are you going to need for these elections that you have never needed before?
ID.
Photo ID.
Photo ID.
Yes,
Yeah.
You've got to see this. This is Broadland and South Norfolk Council's Trevor Holden's impressive commitment to spreading the message. Go on, Trevor.
I got something to say about May's local elections. T-Dog's spitting bars about voter ID selection. So make sure you bring it, or you'll receive rejection. Rejection. Some may call it suppression, but don't be a square. It's about making sure this election is fair. Your passport, your driving license, you get the gist. Hop online to see the full extensive list. Make sure your vote counts, so bring your ID. Looks like this card with a little photo of me.
He's got a good squat, though.
I'll give looks
him that.
painful, doesn't it? He goes
Yeah.
low.
And you can see how he spends his 6 minutes.
So this is all Rishi Sunak's insistence that everyone should learn maths up to the age of 18. According to the latest figures, more than 8 million adults have the numeracy skills of a 9-year-old. Not great. Good enough to be SNP treasurer, however. According to the Sunday Times Rich List, Rishi Sunak and his wife have a combined wealth of £730 million. But in much the same way that me and Usain Bolt have a combined total of 8 Olympic gold medals. This week, the report into Dominic Raab was handed over to Number 10. Raab has had to pay a large sum for his own legal defence into allegations of bullying, but he will get some of it back when he takes Rishi Sunak's dinner money off him. Meanwhile, Tory party chairman Greg Hands was spotted on the Laura Kuenssberg show having written notes on his hands. Look at that. So Greg Hands reads notes off his hands. Now we know why Ed Balls keeps glancing down below the desk and giving it and getting. Richard and Paul, take a look at this.
Right, OK, this is obviously a massive start to a big run in 1946. This is the runner, the female runner, part of, I don't know if it was a marathon. Was it a marathon?
Like an ultra-marathon, I think,
Ultra-marathon. Towards the end, she got injured and she took a lift in a car and then got out and then carried on and came third.
You're absolutely right. What first alerted officials to the possibility that Scottish GP Joasza Zakarczewski hadn't run the entire distance?
They saw her getting out of a car. Near the finishing line. She asked the organisers to tip the driver.
I think she was wearing one of those watches and she'd done like one of the miles she'd done in sort of 1 minute, 7 seconds or something.
It was GPS tracking data found that she'd reached a superhuman top speed of 35 miles per hour. And that for part of the event, she had followed the main road rather than the race route.
Somebody did that entirely on the train. It took them 5 days and 3 hours.
What explanation did Dr. Zakarczewski give for accepting a lift in a friend's car?
She said it's a really, really long way.
Yeah.
She told the BBC, "I was tired and jet-lagged and felt sick." She also said she had become lost, her leg was feeling sore and she'd started to limp, and that she was feeling unwell and spaced out and not thinking clearly, adding, "But I don't want to make excuses." Anyone here ever cheated at anything that they want to admit to on national television?
My GCSEs.
Did you?
Yeah.
Was this in maths?
No, it was geography, history and English literature.
I mean, I cheated for my CSE grade 5 maths. I was sitting next to the school cat. If you can believe the school's got a cat. Not very plausible, is it? You wouldn't put that one in your books, would you? The school cat. Hey,
Staying with sport, why was the World Snooker Championship interrupted?
Oh, yes. Yeah, there was a guy that got up on the table and, threw some orange paint around and they had to sort of postpone that particular play.
Let's have a look at it.
Well, I don't quite know what that was for. These are terrible, terrible scenes here at the Crucible.
I mean, if the players will sit there drinking oil during the match... And this is, snooker, they did it because it's live, but the relevance of snooker to oil consumption is, well, it's hard to see. It's suggested on the front page of The Sun that he's a toff, is what I saw, so maybe he sort of saw this as didn't really care because it was a working-class sport.
I saw it on the news, but with the sound down, and I thought they'd gone a bit, like the Super Bowl at half-time. I thought they were trying to jazz it up a bit.
An adjoining match was also interrupted by another protester, Margaret Reid, 52. Which is not a bad break. How did Master of Ceremonies Rob Walker react to the disruption?
With anger, I suppose.
Well, let's have a look.
Having spent the money, your train ticket, potentially hotel as well.
Yeah, make no mistake. Yeah, this is why, you know, they're doing the... You even got... Is that Rob Walker there?
Go on, Rob.
Yeah. How many jobs has he got?
He's commentator,
I see him driving a bus the early one of the day.
He's got the marigolds on as well.
Go on, Rob. Fair play to him.
Now, you see the colour of that paint? That's the colour of our new bedroom curtains.
I forgot we'd bought new bedroom curtains.
Yeah. You volunteered to hang them for me.
One of the voices you heard there was Jimmy White, who knows a thing or two about hoovering powder off a table. One Just Stop Oil activist made a very good point about the advantages of stopping using fossil fuels. Here he is on Jacob Rees-Mogg's show on GB News. Let's take a look.
If we just stopped oil now, the lights would go out.
Well, we wouldn't have to see you then, would we? But we're not asking for that.
Remarkably quick thinking there. In other protest news, the state of our roads has been causing anger around the country, which is why, of course, we're going to have a quick game of Name That Pothole. Fingers on buzzers, teams. Here's your first one. Name that pothole. Paul.
Helen Thompson.
Is an excellent name for the pothole.
I'd say that's Scotland, somewhere in Scotland.
It's Malmesbury in Wiltshire.
Oh, is it?
Yes. Just one of many potholes there, and to highlight the problem, resident Ben Thornbury has turned them into a crazy golf course, bringing the number of visitor attractions in Malmesbury to 1. Here we go again.
Yeah.
Name that pothole.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
This was, this is East London somewhere, wasn't it?
You're exactly right. It's East London.
I thought that was affordable housing.
Are we getting points for this, by the way?
Doesn't look like it.
Nothing's happened, no. Let's not bother playing.
Yeah. Where's the next pothole? Don't care.
According to the Times, this is the deepest pothole in the country.
Wow.
And it's worse when you realise that that man is standing on Richard Osman's shoulders. The pothole has already ruined a number of cars and sent a Deliveroo cyclist hurtling through the air, which worked out for the couple at number 57 who got their pizza ahead of time. Slightly different question this time. Yeah. Who's fixing this pothole?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is the correct answer. There he is.
Why is the pothole shaped like a body?
This is him fixing a pothole in Los Angeles. Let's take a look. Don't know quite why it needs the porn film soundtrack. Unfortunately, however, it has now been revealed that it wasn't actually a pothole. It was a vital service trench, and Arnie has disrupted gas line repair works. So this started with the story of the ultra runner, who was later discovered to be an ultra cheat after it emerged she'd been driven in a car for part of the race. Her disqualification was confirmed by race director Wayne Drinkwater, along with his running colleagues Brian Stretch First, Chris Pace Yourself, and Danny Have Fun. Meanwhile, a Just Stop Oil protester interrupted a first-round game during the World Snooker Championship. The resulting mayhem was so chaotic, several members of the audience woke up. To the one-armed bandit of news. Fingers on buzzers, teams. Who's that, Paul?
Yes. This is Fox News. They've just had to pay out. There was going to be a huge court case in America. Fox News was full of stories after Trump lost the election saying, well, it's the machines. They're fixed every time somebody voted for Trump. It came out for a vote for Biden. They were willing to tell lies, but they knew to be wrong, so they wouldn't lose any viewers. And Rupert Murdoch just couldn't face this becoming a court case, so he's paid up something like $670 million, something like that.
787.5 million.
Point five is important. If I understood maths, it would be a big figure.
It's not just a big figure, it's a record defamation payout ever for anything.
Is it?
There's another election machine, and they're going to try and sue him for $2.7 billion. I'm not following it very closely. What Fox News did, basically, was lie to the American people, say that Trump is right, the election's been stolen, and now they've admitted this isn't true. So I would say that it's treason, and that some 92-year-olds could go to jail.
What, for life? Or 6 weeks?
Whichever comes sooner.
Yeah.
The figures are just staggering. I mean, I sound very excited. I mean, there was a time when I had the record libel payout.
How much is he worth?
Not enough money to last the rest of his life.
CNN reported the settlement amount of $787.5 million is actually nearly 10 times the valuation of their company, Dominion. So, hard to say no to it, I guess. Hard not to settle.
What are they going to do with all that money? Will
money.
they pimp up those voting machines? Like, they could make them, you know, like simulators where you walk in and you're, like, on a roller coaster, or, you know, go in and vote and then you come out and your hair's been done and... what? Will they just share it amongst them, or will they use it for the machines?
Well,
It's a good question, because it's a lot of money.
Yeah. How have the other US news channels reacted to this?
CNN, I imagine, would be quite happy.
Yeah, let's see what CNN had to say.
Fox issued a statement saying, quote, "We are pleased to have reached a settlement of our dispute with Dominion voting systems. We acknowledge the court's rulings finding certain claims about Dominion to be false. The settlement reflects..." I'm sorry, this is going to be difficult to say with a straight face. "This settlement reflects Fox's continued commitment to the highest journalistic standards. We are hopeful that our..." Sorry.
The lawsuit between Dominion and Fox is part of an ongoing battle over free speech and media accountability. In the US, it's led to accusations of election rigging, incitement to violence, a riot at the seat of government, and several deaths. In the UK, Match of the Day only showed the goals one week.
He's very good, isn't he?
I like that one.
Hasn't put a foot wrong tonight.
Fingers on buzzers, teams. Here we go again. What's this all about? Ian?
It's called a cassette tape. It's a sort of modern thing. You put music in.
Yes.
And it plays.
You can put a pencil in it as well and...
We've got one here.
Oh.
Who remembers that?
Yeah.
And why are they in the news?
So Ian thought this round was called Guess the Object. They're not making a comeback, are they?
Yeah, making a comeback.
There's loads of songs from my youth that when they get to a certain part, I expect them to stop.
Yes.
Because it was at the end of a side of a tape. So when they carry on, I'm like, oh, it's got another half of the chorus, has it? Who knew Matt Bianco wrote another half to that song?
Yeah, after a resurgence in vinyl, it's now emerged that sales of the cassette tape are at a 20-year high.
Oh, yeah, but I haven't sold any in 20 years.
Ian, have you returned to the wax cylinder yet? Where are you up to?
No, I can stream.
Well, you've got to expect it at your age, haven't you?
Very different from your age, of course.
Indeed, very different indeed.
And what have scientists created recently involving mammoths?
Oh.
Anyone hear this?
Yes. They did something with mammoth DNA, and I can't remember what it was.
Yes, they did. Mammoth meatball. Yes, part of an effort to produce more environmentally friendly meat, an Australian cultivated meat company called Vow have created a mammoth meatball in a lab by sequencing DNA harvested from frozen mammoth corpses in Siberia.
Whoa.
Yum. In other news, a T-Rex has been sold at auction. Here it is. The skull came from Montana. The body was dug up in Wyoming, and they went all the way to Switzerland to get that lady in the cardigan stuck to that pole. How much do you think it's worth?
1.7 million.
A bit more than that.
Wasn't Leonardo DiCaprio bidding for it?
Oh, was he?
It must be too old for him.
The skeleton sold for £5 million.
Wow.
Auction house worker Carl Green said this was a fair price for the dino. Although the Sun disagreed, pointing out that a private buyer paid £26 million for an incomplete dinosaur called Stan, who's soon being installed in the House of Lords by his son Boris Johnson. What did we find out about Tyrannosaurus Rex?
It's dead.
Something about their teeth.
Oh, they're irregular.
According to the Sun, they are not permanently exposed like in Jurassic Park, but were actually covered with scaly lizard-like lips. Let's take a look. Oh. The other one.
Wow.
Time now for the odd one out round. Just one between you this week. The four are Bolton Wanderers, Brecon Beacons National Park, BBC News, and Toblerone. Yes, Paul.
Yes, well, I think the Brecon Beacons this week announced that they were going to change the name from Brecon Beacons to a Welsh name. Toblerone can no longer sort of feature a mountain on their packaging because they're, I don't think they're made in Switzerland anymore. Is that right, Richard?
Yes, I think Slovenia or something like that.
Yes. So basically, Toblerone's the odd one out because all the other three have changed their names recently, but Toblerone has had to change the design of their packaging.
I'm going to have to tell you, they've all had a rebrand.
Yeah.
Apart from Bolton Wanderers,
right,
who've had a change of stadium sponsor.
Oh.
The League One team recently revealed they've struck a new stadium sponsor deal with a local building products company called Tough Sheet. Which means for the next 5 years, they'll be playing in the Tough Sheet Community Stadium. It could be worse, though. Which did National League team Southend United accidentally name one of their stands?
Yes, well, they had, I think it was an estate agent or something called Rose, and it was the West Stand.
Gilbert and Rose,
It became known as the Rose West Stand.
That's it.
That's like when Man City wanted to name one of the end of their stadium after one of the most famous players.
Yes.
And Colin Bell won the award. And they had to rethink of that as well.
And how are the Brecon Beacons National Park having a rebrand? Who wants to go at pronouncing it?
Bana Breconiog.
That sounds quite good.
Let's cross to our Welsh correspondent.
The correct pronunciation is Banau Brycheiniog. Banau Brycheiniog.
Thank you, Michael.
He's very good, isn't he, Michael Sheen?
Yeah, he's
Don't you
good.
think?
He's all right.
Oh, he's good. You know what? Anything he does, he carries.
You know he does.
Everybody, doesn't he? So he's got such charisma.
I mean, he's the actor of his generation.
Oh.
And I love his floor polish.
Do people in Scotland like you as much as people in Wales like him?
He's versatile, that's the thing.
Yes, he's versatile. He can do comedy and drama, which a lot of actors can't.
No, they can't do that. Doesn't rely on props.
Exactly that.
Doesn't rely on props.
Oh, he does.
You're not a prop.
No.
Come on.
They're doing this in order to become more eco-friendly. So they've lost the beacon part of the name because that sounds like something's on fire. And they're also set to replace their logo of a wood-burning brazier with a picture of a plug-in electric heater instead. So what rebrand have Toblerone been forced to make?
Do they have to change the mountain?
Yes. They've had to remove the Matterhorn from packaging.
Oh, I see.
A handful of people are said to be gutted, but most of Switzerland's pretty neutral on the matter. What is going on the packaging instead?
I don't know much about Slovakia. Do they like a lot of pickled cabbage?
Well, according to the BBC, the Swiss mountain will be replaced with a more generic summit. Summit like what? Now, without wishing to touch any raw nerves, does anyone remember what Toblerone did in 2016?
Yeah.
Yeah, they made the bars smaller.
Yeah.
The bastards.
Yeah. They made gappier triangles.
Yeah.
Is what they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a picture, look. Look.
It looks like a bike rack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Toblerone can no longer use the Matterhorn on their packaging. Another protected name under threat is the Dundee Fruitcake, or as it's better known, the accountant for the SNP. How was the BBC News channel rebranded this month?
BBC News and BBC Worldwide have just become BBC.
Yeah, meaning the two channels are now sharing content, and they've also told reporters on location that in order to gain the trust of viewers, they should dress down, try to look more sweaty and dirty.
What?
Ah, you should see what I'm wearing under here. And why should Estonian politician Rein Epler consider a rebrand?
Whoa. Oh, does it mean something in Estonian that's rude?
No, it's not that. Epler has been labelled by The Independent as a far right-wing political figure accused of promoting xenophobia. So you're probably assuming he's some sort of lunatic, but here he is.
Wow.
Oh, dear.
I mean, honestly, Michael Sheen can turn into anyone.
In other branding news, why have Lord of the Rings lawyers contacted a bin removal company in Brighton?
Oh, I saw this. Yeah, it was Lord of the Bins, wasn't it?
That's exactly it, yes. Middle-earth Enterprises, who own the rights to J.R.R. Tolkien's work, have threatened legal action if a waste collection business doesn't change its name from Lord of the Bins.
Well, there could be some confusion between a whole load of rubbish and those 3 films that were...
Lord of the Bins have also been told to ditch their slogan, "One ring to remove it all."
Oh, come on, that's brilliant.
Oh, isn't it?
That's good.
Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication the Handwritten Letter Appreciation Society. If you really want to wind up the editor, drop her an email. And it's published every... I can't read that.
Why can't you read it?
Because it's handwritten.
Oh, I see.
Can I tell you how Michael Sheen would have delivered
know,
that?
you've got it.
You never lose focus with him, do you?
No, exactly.
Yeah. You never get the feeling when you go, oh, not the fucking Daleks again. You know what I mean? You never get that feeling, Michael Sheen. You never get that with old Sheeny.
We start with, man surprised to find what on flight to Belfast?
Greta Thunberg.
Yeah. Is it legroom?
Man surprised to find he is only passenger on flight to Belfast.
Wow.
That's the dream.
This is Paul Wilkinson, found himself as the only person on a flight from Portugal to Belfast. According to The Times, the surprised passenger was treated like a king. The cabin crew threw eggs at him and said his wife should never be queen. Next, Hull opens experimental new what?
Chip butty that you can live in.
Combined bungee jump massage parlour.
No.
In and out in 5
I
minutes.
think they've got one of them.
Is it a Philip Larkin Centre?
No. Hull opens an experimental new all-you-can-eat crisp buffet.
Oh, I did know, yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's raving about it.
Yeah? This is the news that a city centre bar in Hull is offering an all-you-can-eat buffet of 30 different crisp varieties. The organiser of the event said, who doesn't like a crisp sandwich? A cardiologist? There is a point for every one of the 30 options you can name. Richard.
What's it?
Yes, what's it?
Frazzles, Monster Munch.
But wait, there's more than one Monster Munch. There are multiple Monster Munch options.
Pickled onion Monster Munch.
Yes.
Roast beef Monster Munch.
Yes.
Flaming hot Monster Munch.
Excellent.
We found your specialist subject on Mastermind.
Chipsticks.
Yeah, what flavour chipsticks?
Salt and vinegar.
Of course they are. I'm afraid that's your time up. You've done terribly well.
Well done.
We've turned into Name That Crisp.
I'm going to
Finally.
Next, man who completed 3-day bus journey from Derby to Penzance, what?
Wets himself somewhere near Exeter.
It's actually that he arrives 3 minutes early.
He probably got out and ran.
This is Andrew Cowell. He travelled 320 miles on 20 different bus services across 3 days. He said he did this because it's really important to get people back on the buses. And he knows what he's talking about because he is, the article mentions, a railway worker. Next. After 30 years, massive puddle in Norwich, what?
Sucked dry.
No.
Filled in.
Not yet. You're very close.
Renamed.
I'll give you that.
You give me that. Okay, go
To
on.
be finally fixed.
Ah.
Yes.
Right.
Here you'll see Labour City Councillor Julie Brosek-Coulton with the really quite remarkable 30-year-old puddle.
Oh, no. No.
That's a 30-year-old puddle.
It's just
that looks 25 tops.
Yeah.
Because of BBC impartiality in the upcoming local elections, I have to say that all these other city councillor candidates are just as interested in 30-year-old puddles. There they go. Go on, go on, go on. And finally, the Handwritten Letter Appreciation Society's birthday celebrations included what?
The hunting down and ritual slaughter of Moonpig.
It was a postbox crawl to all 30 of Swannage's postboxes.
Oh, we would have got there in the end, wouldn't we?
Along with the postbox crawl, the Handwritten Letter Appreciation Society also had a cake. Look at this. Sweet.
Oh, that's lovely. And in 3 weeks' time, someone will get that.
If you're a member of the Handwritten Letter Appreciation Society, congratulations for surviving the winter. So on that bombshell, the final scores are... Ian and Lucy have 4 points. Paul and Richard have 14.
Oh, 14 points. Well done.
The election machines are actually positively brilliant compared to our scoring.
Are you claiming that there's something wrong with the scoring system?
Yes, I am.
I think the crisps made a difference.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, right, fine.
Well, I could have done that, but
You were invited to join in.
I didn't know. I wanted to let you have your moment.
I thought I was having mine and then you were going to pass it over. That's what, on a normal, that's what Michael Sheen would have done. For example...
He's like that. Before we go, there's just time for the caption competition.
Let it go, Harry. They're not going to invite you.
On which note, we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Lucy Beaumont, Paul Merton and Richard Osman. And I leave you with news that in Berkshire, there's a mix-up in the Celebrity Bake-Off tent when one of the contestants realises they've accidentally iced a hat. In Downing Street, after trying both wide-angle and zoom lenses, photographers have to accept there is no way of taking a balanced picture. And as King Charles promises to make his coronation environmentally friendly, Swedish royals begin their low-carbon footprint journey to London. Good night.
David, you were fantastically good tonight.
Oh.
So good.
I can only think of one man who would have done it better.
Oh, Michael will be thrilled.